NFL Sunday. We got a great Saturday. Are we up? Are we not up? Jack saying wait. All right, now we're good to go. I think we're good. Good morning, guys. We got NFL Sunday. We had a great set of games yesterday, right? I mean, let's start with that Bengals game. I mean, because if you were on an under, you were sweating the entire game. Andrew, I know you love a good under. Were you on the under for that game?
I was not. No, I had nothing yesterday.
Okay,
Full on nothing. Or besides that one prop.
Wow, you really watched both games yesterday and didn't have any bets
I
on
had
either?
one prop. I had the one prop.
Oh, you had the Hunter Henry. That's right.
Hunter Henry
That's
was
right.
cashed
Which
on.
so you literally had like 30 seconds of sweating yesterday, and then the other 8 hours of football was just chill.
I was watching
Good for you.
Man, but how about Josh Allen last night, guys? I mean, the Bills are back, right? The Bills are back. They're everyone's favorites in the AFC. Is that fair to say? I mean, everyone's just riding the Bills all the way to the AFC Championship game at least.
I think they're gonna have a tough game next. Let's just live in a world where the Steelers lose tonight, and it's Chiefs Bills next week. That they went into Arrowhead earlier this season, and they did exactly what they did last night to the Patriots. They just whooped the Chiefs. I don't think it is going to be that easy again this time around. But I really hope we get that game. I almost tweeted that last night, but I knew if I did, I would jinx the Chiefs. I really hope we get that game because I need Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes in a playoff game again for the second year in a row.
While I want that, I also want Mike Tomlin to just set
fire. No, you're a Ravens fan. You want Mike Tomlin?
I know, but I love I'm a Ravens fan that also loves Mike Tomlin. It makes no
sense.
All right. So I'm a Ravens fan that loves Mike Tomlin and Joe Burrow. I mean, first of all, did you guys see the purple tinted shades he had on after the game?
Yeah, he's got swag.
Dude's a baller. I hate that
I could see you wearing those on a show, Alex.
I actually have a pair of sunglasses like that. Mine are like different shape, but I can't pull him off like him. Though. I hate that he's going to be in the division for the next 15 years, just tearing it up.
Yeah, that's all right.
But all right, we got a lot to get to in today's show. But before we do, make sure you download the Pickswise app. It's available on the Apple App Store and in Google Play. And of course, subscribe to the Pickswise YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our content. We do this show every day at 10 a.m., giving you picks. Hopefully, winners. We gave out a lot of winners yesterday. A little humble brag there. And for our New York viewers, make sure that you go to the Pickswise Twitter page and website to check out the bonus section on the app as well and find all the exclusive promos and offerings that the New York sportsbooks are handing out because they are handing out free money. They want you to bet with them, so take advantage of those deals. Guys, we have a lot to get to today. We're going to talk about all of today's games, and we're going to dip our toe into tomorrow's game as well because we got an interesting one with the Cardinals and Rams squaring off as well. And, of course, we're going to finish off today's show with our play of the day. So without further ado, let's bet it. And let's start with the Eagles and Bucks. All right, guys. So let's just start with this question here. We saw Taylor Heineke kind of almost pull it off last year against this Bucks team, right? This is obviously a different Bucks team, different situation. Can you see the Eagles hanging around in this game right now? Are they 7.5 point dogs, depending on where you're shopping? Can you see the Eagles pulling it off today?
Hey, I know you think so.
Yeah, I can see it for sure. I don't know. I don't know if it's definitely gonna happen. I can see a path for sure. I think just not even just the Heineke game. I think people remember that Bucks playoff run last year way different from how it actually happened. I don't think they actually played very well up until the Super Bowl. They didn't play well at all against Washington. I don't think in the first round. In the second round, they didn't play that well against the Saints. They should have lost if Jared Cook hadn't fumbled. Drew Brees could barely throw the ball 5 yards at that point. In the NFC Championship game, Brady throws 3 interceptions, and they back into that win over the Packers. So. And then obviously this year, I think they're a lot more vulnerable than they were last year. I don't think people are making a big enough deal about Chris Godwin injury. I think it's a way bigger deal than people are acting like. The Bucks, remember they got shut out 9-0 by the Saints a handful of weeks ago? Then they had 3 games after that. There were the Panthers, the Jets, and the Panthers again. So it's like, I think that kind of masked a lot of their weaknesses down the stretch. The fact that they got to close with those 3 games. The last time they played a real team, they got shut out. So I could see it for sure.
The Eagles are a real team? Are the Eagles a real team in your mind?
But that's the thing is, I think the Eagles are kind of fraudulent too. So that's why I'm not all the way in on the Eagles. If you look at the 9 wins the Eagles won this year, it's insane. It's the easiest stretch you've ever seen. So that's why I'm like, but I can see it for sure.
Jared,
I think the Bucs are a fade in the playoffs. I really do. I just don't know if this is the week. Like, I hope they win this week, barely, or, enough to where it's relatively, okay, they won, they're the better team. And then next week, regardless of what the matchup is, we won't know until the end of the day. Or actually, I don't think we'll know until it'll be if the Bucs win, they will definitely face. Is it locked in who their opponent is if they win today, or do we have to wait till tomorrow night or the NFC game later in the day?
I think we have to wait until tomorrow.
Okay, so
it's too early for me.
Regardless, I think next week is the week that I'm really looking to fade the Bucs. And when I look at this Eagles team, so we were talking about it before the show. We're starting to see some steam on Philly. It is happening right now. Literally, I'm seeing the board on my screen, the odds board light up right now with a lot of 7s. The 7.5s are pretty much all gone. I think I see one at Wynn. I think South Point still has one, but Circa, Westgate, Caesars, all 7 now. And the steam is coming in on Philly. I grabbed 7.5. I got it at MGM. It might still be there. It might not. They're not one of the books that's on my screen. When you look at this Eagles team, they don't play well when they manage up. They're 0-6 straight up against playoff teams this year, 1-5 against the number. But, man, have they been coming on down the stretch. One of the most balanced teams in the league over the back half of the year. Besides the Niners, they are the best team in the league in net yards per play over the second half. And their offense has been explosive. And I think that is going to be what gives the Bucs problems. We know their secondary has had issues this year. And they're getting Lavonte David back. I think that's helpful. But they're still kind of banged up in the back. And I think also the running back situation with no Fournette, that, as crazy as it sounds, that caused a lot of buzz yesterday when he was not activated. So I think the Eagles are live in this game, and I'm on a teaser with the Bucs. Everybody teased the Bucs this week. I'm not, this innovative better for doing that, but I think I'm going to protect that, and I'm going to come back on the Eagles plus 7.5 because I'm not feeling good about the Bucs right now. I don't like the line movement. I don't like the price action. I don't like where, some of these metrics are kind of pointing for Philly, and I thought for sure that the Eagles weren't going to get all this sharp money, but they're getting it again this week, and the line's shrinking really quickly.
Yeah, Tampa Bay minus 7.5 right now on FanDuel, but the money line moving. Jared, I want to talk about your prop, the prop that you're on for this game, because Tom Brady's been great this season when he's had his weapons, right? But we talked about no Chris Godwin, no Leonard Fournette, no Antonio Brown. Really, so you're looking not at Mike Evans, but you're looking at his old friend Rob Gronkowski. What are you looking at for today's game?
AO's on the Gronk prop, yeah.
Yeah, I like the over for Gronk. I bet it week 17 or something. He came through. I'm going back. I mean, they didn't use Gronk in the playoffs much last year, but that's because they just didn't really use him at all much last year, and they didn't really need him, and they obviously need him a lot more this time around. If you look at the last 2 games of the regular season, I mean, Gronk shot way past 100 yards in both of those. I think that obviously you throw in the fact the Eagles have given up the most receptions of any team in the league to tight ends, and the Bucs are going to be without AB and Godwin when Brady's really been leaning on Gronk. I think it's kind of perfect storm for him. No Fournette either, like you mentioned. And I mean, Gronk, if you look at the games, the game Godwin got hurt, he had 11 targets. And then the 4 games before that, even he had 9, 8, 9, 8. Like, they were using Gronk a decent amount. And now without post Godwin, it's like he's getting these double-digit targets. I don't think people have been realizing how good of a season Gronk had just because he was pretty quiet. I mean, the guy went over 800 yards and he only played like 11 games this year pretty much because he played 12, but he got hurt early in one of them. He went over 800 yards in 11 games, and no one's really talking about Gronk as a receiver. I think that the Bucs obviously aren't going to be able to run the ball much without Fournette, and there's just really not too many other people to throw to. I don't think the Bucs passing game is going to have some huge day per se, but without Godwin and AB, there's just so many targets to go around that I really think 60 is not too much to eclipse.
One of our friends of the show, Sterling, in the chat, mentioned one of the guys that Brady might be looking to today, Scotty Miller, over 8.5 yards today. 8.5 yards.
Is that really his prop?
That's his prop. 8.5.
Oh, that is a must bet. Great job. What's the guy? Who's the one that pointed at? Sterling. Great look, bud. I mean, what is that? One catch? Like
exactly. That could be one catch.
And if game script does dictate the Eagles jump out to a lead, they're running the ball well, Brady's got to throw it a lot in the second half. Clearly, they don't have a running game to rely on. I think all the weapons on the Bucs wide receiver core, tight ends, Cameron Brate touchdown was one that I saw today. So everyone is betting the Gronk touchdown. I saw this quote this morning from MGM. Gronk to score the first touchdown is as big. This is from MGM's trading director, Jason Scott, out in Vegas. Gronk to score first touchdown liability as big as we've ever had for this bet in any match other than the Super Bowl.
Oh, gosh.
So everybody is betting Gronk to score the first touchdown today. And those are crapshoots. Those are one-off rolls. Those are the yos in craps, but if you hit it, it's a good price.
Yeah,
but also
you're loving.
You're feeling great. But I don't think I've ever seen for a wild card game that kind of exposure on a first touchdown prop. And I think that just shows where the evolution of these props are, because people love this stuff.
They want the story. They just want it.
Yeah, exactly. They want the 8-1, whatever it is, 8, 9-1. I don't know what it is,
absolutely.
But to me, that's a prop I probably stay away from. But it's clearly a lot of people aren't staying away from it.
Yeah. Well, I'm on a prop for this one. I'm looking at Eagles running back Miles Sanders making his return today.
Yeah,
after being out 3 weeks with a broken hand. Right, he's the Eagles' best running back. Nick Sirianni saying that there's no limitations, so that leads me to believe that maybe there's going to be a big workload for him. But when you look at his workload, right, 12 games this season he played, half those games less than 10 carries, right? But in 6 of those games he's gone over that 43.5. So I still think that he's going to be able to get there regardless of his touches. He went 9 for 56 the last time they faced the Bucs earlier this season. But the big question for this one, I'm going to throw this out there to you guys, because everyone thinks that the Eagles are going to have to come out and run the ball to have success in this game, right? That's a strength of this Bucs defense, stopping the run. Do you see a situation where, because of the injuries that the Bucs are dealing with, where the Eagles are able to have success running the ball? Because 43.5 is not a big number. That's why I think that's a good spot for me. But do you think that the Eagles are going to be able to have success on the ground today?
I do. The Bucs people, and I gave this stat on a bunch of shows this week, including ours. The Eagles, they're the best running team in the league over the back half of the year. EPA per play, they're in the top 5. And I think when you look at the Bucs defense, teams used to not even try to run on them. But first half of the year, they were 7th in rush success rate, 4th in rush EPA per play, which is good. Since week 10, they're 14th in both categories. They're kind of a middling defense against the run over the back half of the season. And I think teams are realizing that they can run on them now. And I think there's a little more success being had. And I think if anyone can have success, it's Jalen Hurts. We saw Josh Allen go into Tampa Bay a few weeks ago and really torch this Bucs defense, especially in the second half. And that game flew over the total. It was a great game. Overtime, the Bucs got it in the first possession, overtime, and won. But actually, I think the Bills might have got it first, and then the Bucs got it second. But it was a great game, and I could see this game playing out in a similar fashion if Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders can get some yards going on the ground.
Yeah. You're talking about the Bucs this season. They're limiting opponents to 4.3 yards per carry, but last 3 games, 4.9 yards per attempt. So they're kind of tailing off, and that's fine. And like you said, AO, Panthers twice, and was that the Jets?
Jets, and they barely beat the Jets. It took a last-second drive to beat the Jets.
And we got
28
mile-per-hour winds apparently in Tampa Bay.
The winds, it's not going to be a factor today. People need to relax. People were saying the cold weather last night, Josh Allen wouldn't be able to throw the ball. Like, come on, people. I grew up down there in South Florida. It's not. Yeah, but the wind down there, like, remember when the Bahamas Bowl happened and people were worried about the wind gusts in the Bahamas?
Don't remind me of the Bahamas Bowl.
Guys,
don't remind
it's South Florida. I grew up down there. The storm comes through, and 10 minutes later, it's fine. You do not factor. Now, if you're watching the game and you see that it becomes a factor, then you can adjust. But just to say that there's going to be some wind gusts in South Florida, I do not think it is I think it is having a factor more on the number than it's actually going to impact the actual game. And the more the number drops, the more I'm inclined to bet the over.
All right, well, let's move on to our next game here. We got Niners Cowboys, and I'm a little bit torn on this one, guys. I'm looking at the Niners. That's the side I'm on in this one, Jared. I know you feel the same way, but a concern I have with the Niners is Jimmy Garoppolo. Shocker, right? The last 2 times we've seen him, he's thrown 2 interceptions in both those games. He turns the ball over, and this is a Cowboys defense. They'll turn you over. I mean, they lead the league in turnover differential and takeaways, right? Like that's what they do. They take risks. They're gamblers. They're high risk guys. So I think that when I look at this game, I'm pretty much. It sounds like I'm on the Cowboys, but I promise you I'm not. Let me get to the point here. I think Kyle Shanahan is going to take advantage and scheme up something that's going to take advantage of the aggressive style that the Cowboys play with. He's going to go away from Micah Parsons or take advantage of his over-aggressiveness. And same with Trayvon Diggs. You know, Trayvon Diggs is a boomer bust kind of corner. I mean, when he turns you over, he's great, but he also gives up a lot of big plays and a lot of touchdowns. So I think I am trusting Kyle Shanahan more than I'm trusting a Cowboys team, which has been a little inconsistent. And Dan Quinn, you know, these are 2 coaches that know each other well from being on that Falcons staff together. So I'm trusting Kyle Shanahan in the spot, and I'm going to take the points. Jared, you're on the same side. Are you kind of thinking the same thing?
I love the Niners in this spot. It's my favorite play of the week. I'm glad that I heard this on a podcast. We'll see if it turns out to be true that Jimmy Garoppolo did get a shot on his thumb at halftime of the Rams game. And from my understanding, that shot will be delivered to him before the game in this instance and not at halftime.
Feel great in the second half.
Now it's going to wear off in the second half, though.
But they'll give him another shot. They'll give him another shot at halftime, Ayo. That's how. I do think that the Niners are going to get off to a better start than they did against the Rams. Can't get off to much of a worse start than being down 17-zip. On the other side, for Dallas's offense, they are effective, and I think that is going to be the key to this game. Can the Niners pass rush get to Dak Prescott? The Niners rushing defense has been stellar, the best in the league according to the EPA metrics over the back half of the year. I do not think the Cowboys running game is going to be an impact here. I think it's going to be, can Dak Prescott torch, get yards, be effective against the okay, but not overly good Niners secondary, which again has been had at times. I think the Niners offense can move the ball in this game. And I think they're leading the NFL in net yards per play over the back half of the year. Their running game is dynamic. The Cowboys defense is not great, giving up yards, 28th in opponent yards per play, and yards after the catch, 31st in Yak this year. Deebo Samuel second in that category. George Kittle 16th, and then they've got Ayuk, who's also a stud in Yak. I think that's going to be the key for me. I think these Niners weapons are a little more dynamic than the Cowboys defense is, and I think that's where the Niners are going to win this game.
Yeah, I think they're going to be able to run the ball. You know, we're looking at a Cowboys defense that allows 4.5 yards per attempt, and big win for the Niners that pushed me over the edge. Trent Williams back today. That is
huge.
A big deal. Their left tackle, getting him back and healthy is good. But, you know, Andrew, we're talking about running the ball and we're talking about the Niners moving it effectively. That all plays right into the play that you're on for this game as well.
Yeah, I mean, 51 seems high for a game with a couple of offenses. I don't really, a couple of offenses that I don't really trust either of them. I think the Cowboys defense definitely carried the team the second half of the year. If you look at it, the Cowboys offense, they had 2 good games since Thanksgiving. One of those was the Week 18 game against the Eagles practice squad, so you can't really count that. And then the other one was that game against Washington in prime time where, you know, Washington's roster had been decimated by COVID and they were fighting each other on the sideline and all that. So, and those are the 2 decent offensive games the Cowboys have had since Thanksgiving. Other than that, Dak's really struggled. Like in the other 4 games since then, he's averaged 6.0 yards per attempt or fewer. Despite not playing the toughest schedule, Cowboys offense has just not been in sync. Obviously, I think Michael Gallup being lost also hurts a little bit. Throws, you know, it makes them a little bit easier to cover. I mean, when they can go 3 kind of dynamic receivers, I mean, it's a big loss to lose one of those guys. On the flip side, Jimmy G, not sold. Last week was a great performance in the second half. I mean, when they're playing in LA, it's a borderline home game. Now it's a different environment. I expect Dallas to be rocking. I think Jimmy will be a little in over his head. We saw, like you alluded to the familiarity between Dan Quinn and Kyle Shanahan. I often kind of like taking the under on games when there's coaching familiarity. These guys actually coached against each other once already after Kyle Shanahan left Atlanta 2019. Falcons. Niners, this might scare you guys if you were on the Niners. I mentioned this to Jared the other day. Niners were like a multi-score favorite. They were more than a touchdown favorite. They lost outright. Jimmy G was pretty terrible in that game. I think he averaged like 5 yards an attempt. So, I mean, a lot of people this Cowboys defense is quite a bit better than that Falcons one that Dan Quinn was coordinating at the time. Dan Quinn catches a lot of flack. I'd take Shanahan over Quinn, don't get me wrong. But Dan Quinn, you got to tip your cap, has really done a hell of a job this year. Absolutely. And he already won the last matchup between him and Shanahan and mostly held his offense in check. So, like you said, I think the Niners will be running the ball a lot. So I think 51 is a little high.
Absolutely. I'm looking at a prop that you guys tell me, because I haven't played this yet, but this might make it to the window for me. CeeDee Lamb over 62.5 receiving yards. I mean, if there is a weakness for this Niners team, it's that secondary. And I can see CD going over 62.5 pretty easily. I mean, he hasn't been going over that, in the last couple games, but this seems like a good buy low spot for CD.
Emmanuel Mosley being back is big for the Niners. He played well last week, and I think that's a big. He's their best corner, hands down. Him and Norman both seem to be healthy. I trust Norman obviously less than I trust Mosley. We'll see what kind of matchups the Niners defense throws out there with this Cowboys offense. I think the Cowboys' success will be in the air, not on the ground. The Niners' defense on the ground has been fantastic this year. Street in the middle is an absolute monster, and Armstead's been playing really well too. The other Bosa, we don't talk about Nick Bosa too much, but he's a pretty good player too. And they've got this other big dude in the middle, DJ Jones, that's been playing pretty well. The Niners' front's really good. And I think that's going to be the great matchup in this game, is a really good Niners front against a really good Cowboys offensive line. Which, are we going to see some stunts, some blitzes? The Niners aren't a huge blitz team, but we'll see what they bring in this game. And I don't know. I feel like the Cowboys offense, I don't know how much I trust Dak. Dak's numbers haven't been good. I'm looking at EPA plus completion percentage over expectation since week 13. So basically the last 6 weeks of the year. Dak's a middling quarterback. And
that might be counting the week 18 game where they dropped 50, which was
exactly. And that's with that game.
Well, Jared, I want to ask you a question, Jared, because you're the numbers guy. When you look at this, and this has been sitting at 3 for a long time, what does that tell you? Because the public money is pouring in on the Cowboys, and that number is just the 3 just seems like it's baiting you to take it. Because in most people's minds, when you see 3, you just think, "Oh, I just need the Cowboys." Field goal? Okay, I'll take that.
Massive liability on the Cowboys today. Parlay money to the Cowboys today. Obviously, everyone's putting the Cowboys in their money line parlay today because it's a really short number and it's the Cowboys at home. The books need the Niners to cover. The books absolutely want the Niners to win this game.
On a neutral field, the Niners are favored, right?
Probably. Maybe it's a pick'em. So to me, the biggest way to determine sharp money, in my eyes, and these days, sharp money is, I tweeted out something yesterday from a respected bettor that I really like a lot, and I sent this to AO yesterday too. The sharps are all undecided on these games. There's a lot of push and pull in the market. There's a lot of number grabbing, and that's kind of how I determine where I think sharp money is on a game. So if a line moves off of a key number, like this did this week, there were several times, and I picked up one of them, a 3.5 with San Francisco, and then it immediately moves back. Like, without even settling for like an hour or like 6 hours, like immediate movement back towards the key number, because all the money's coming in on Dallas. And I saw DraftKings do it this week, and they're like, all right, let's see what happens when we go to 3.5. And they went to 3.5, and it lasted like 30 minutes. So to me, that is how I determine where the sharp money is. Immediate, fast, quick moves back towards key numbers. And this one went from 3 to 3.5 really fast. Boom. Back to 3. So the sharps are clearly favoring the Niners very strongly at that price. I don't think you're going to see a 3.5 out there. If you do, it won't last long. So jump on it quick, because I think that's the best price you're going to get on the Niners, unless we get some crazy injury or COVID news before 4:30.
Hopefully not.
Before
we move on, we got a note in here from producer Jack. BetMGM's most bet prop for this game is Deebo Samuel over 29.5 rushing yards. Your thoughts? They moved Deebo Samuel around a lot and used him in a lot of different ways. And 29.5? Okay. Well, let me see. Let me look up some numbers here while we any thoughts on that, guys?
I don't have too many thoughts on it, honestly.
All right. Well, no thoughts. All right. Let's just move on then. We won't waste any more time on Debo Samuel.
Debo's gonna have a good day, I think.
Debo's gonna have a day, regardless of what he does. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to what a lot of people are expecting to be the stinker of the day. Primetime game. Steelers at Arrowhead taking on the Chiefs. The Steelers, the biggest underdog in wild card history, catching, was it 12.5 points? 12.5 points is what the Steelers.
I didn't even see that. That's crazy.
I mean, that is a huge number. I mean, just a slap in the face to Ben Roethlisberger, a slap in the face to Mike Tomlin. So what do you guys? You guys know how I feel about this game. Actually, no, I'm on a different side, but a different kind of bet. But what do you guys think about this game when you look at 12.5? Are you laying the 12.5 points with the Chiefs?
It's a lot of points. Ayo, I'll let you go first, bud.
Yeah, I don't have anything on this game personally. I'm not all the way back in on the Chiefs like some people. It's like the defenses that they torch down the stretch, they get back on track. It's like, yeah, they beat up on the Raiders a couple of times because they always do well against that Raiders defense. So I don't think the Chiefs are all the way back. I mean, you couldn't pay me to bet the Steelers. I've been an anti-Steelers guy all year, so I don't see a ton in this game. I thought my favorite part of this game was, I don't know if you guys saw a couple of days ago, Ben talking about how bad the Steelers are. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Sandbag.
But he was
sandbag.
I've never seen anything like that.
He was
he's sandbag. No. That was sandbag.
Yeah,
that's not.
Exactly.
Yeah. It was very dry, and he wasn't being serious when he was like, "Man, we stink" or whatever. But
that's Roethlisberger. He's got that dry humor.
He wasn't saying, "Oh, people say we shouldn't be here." He was like, "Yeah, we probably shouldn't be here." Like, I was like,
did you see Deontay Johnson? I think the next day he was like, "Yeah, well, when we win, don't hop on the bandwagon."
I promise you, there is not one person in that Steelers locker room that doesn't think they can win this game.
Yeah,
I feel very confident about that. Now, does that mean they're going to win the game?
No.
Maybe not.
What's interesting to me is I've been hating on the Steelers defense, and I don't think they're that good. They then turned it on right at the end of the year, but it's like, they closed strong against Baker and Tyler Huntley. I think that may have just been more of a Baker and Tyler Huntley thing. I mean, obviously,
Baker was awful in that game
when they faced the Chiefs just a few weeks ago. They had 36 points, so you couldn't pay me to bet the Steelers. Not going to lay this many points in a playoff game either.
This line was 10 3 weeks ago. That's why it's hard to bet the Chiefs. Because what's changed in 3 weeks? The answer is nothing.
Didn't the Chiefs have a little COVID issues a few weeks ago in that game?
Yeah, and without Clyde Edwards-Helaire in this game, so they're going to be a little bit more, leaning on Patrick Mahomes, which maybe isn't a bad thing, but you're one red zone pick in this game away from not covering. You have to play to cover a 14-point spread in a playoff game. You have to do what the Bills did last night, which is score 6 times on 6 possessions. I don't think the Chiefs will do that. I think what we saw last night was the perfect game. Like, that was a perfect game in the NFL world. We talk about it in Major League Baseball a lot. You're not going to see a game like that offensively for the rest of the postseason, probably. And I don't think the Chiefs' offense really has been that efficient this year. At least the numbers don't tell me that. Now, the Steelers' defense has been just god-awful, and their offensive numbers are even more awful. But this line was 10 3 weeks ago, and it's 13 now, and nothing's really changed. So I think you got a little bit of wiggle room there to bet the Steelers and have a little value.
To be fair to the Steelers defense, and I just feel like I need to hop in there and defend them a little bit. They've been dealing with injuries all season. There's been pretty much all season they were either without
everyone deals with injuries though,
Minka Fitzpatrick or Joe Hayden. But those are some big injuries for that defense, especially TJ Watt.
Ask the Titans what dealing with injuries is, with their 3 best offensive weapons missing multitude of times this year, yet they are the number 1 seed in the AFC.
We can talk about the Ravens injuries. I don't want to hear about injuries. But
I think injuries affect everyone, and I think it's just how well your coaches and your personnel and how deep you are and how you respond to them. They affect everyone in the NFL.
Taking a shot at Mike Tomlin?
No, I think Tomlin's done a great job this year. He's taken a team that's been full of injuries and riddled with some issues, and he's taken them to the playoffs. Good for him. Yeah. I think he's done a great job.
But I do have a play for this game. I'm looking at the Chiefs' first half. I gave it out earlier this week. If you follow Pickswise or me on Twitter, you saw it. It was Chiefs -7 first half. Now, I think you could still get a 7 at FanDuel, but some places 7.5. Don't love it at 7.5. I love 7. But 10 times this season, the Steelers have trailed at half. And 8 of those times it's been by 7 points or more. They've been one of the the slowest teams out of the gate all season. But the thing that's interesting to me when I look at that is that none of the teams that the Steelers have either been tied with or led at half rank in the top half of scoring offense. And obviously the Chiefs put up a lot of points, regardless of their, first half struggles this season, still ranked fourth in scoring offense. And the Chiefs have led at the half by 7 or more in 8 of their past 11 games. I just think that this is a good spot for the Chiefs in the first half. The last time these two teams played less than a month ago, 23-0 at halftime. So I think the first half is the play for me. It's gonna be an ugly game, which is what Mike Tomlin wants. I don't know if I'm definitely not laying the 12.5 with the Chiefs. I can tell you that, but I don't know if I can get there with the Steelers either.
Well, you kind of did with the first half play. Like, for them to win that first half bet, they've got to be up 10 at half. Their odds of them being up 8 or 9. So
all season, the Steelers have just in the second half, they just turn it on. That's what they do. Let me see if we got anything in the chat here. Pat Mahomes, no Aaron Rodgers. Wow, taking a shot there. All right. Okay, we got Pokey saying he's going to take the 12.5 with the Steelers. Taking the 12. Okay.
I would take the 12. And I'm not betting this game from a spread perspective. I am in a contest with a buddy of mine, and I'll take the Steelers 12.5 in that contest. I think the Chiefs probably win the game, and I think it's probably relatively close. And I think there's a chance that the Chiefs cover late in the front door, as they say, not the back door. But again, I think it's really hard to lay points, to lay more than 10 points, considering these teams just played 3 weeks ago and the spread was 10.
If you
to me, that's kind of where it is.
I don't know Mike Tomlin personally, but I do believe that he is a guy that knows what this number is. He knows the 12.5. And if you think that he has slept a wink all week, and he's not going to get
know what the numbers are.
He's not losing by 2 touchdowns. He's just not. In my mind, that's just
these guys know a lot about what goes on in the gambling space. You heard the Gronk, and just not the gambling space in general, but the number space, like the Gronk stuff last week when he was telling Brady, "I need one more catch for my record." These guys are aware. They're aware. They know what's going on. They see the spreads throughout the week. Saban used it as the rat poison reference for the Georgia-Alabama game a few weeks ago, and it didn't quite work out for them in the championship game on Monday. But I think these guys are more aware of these numbers than we give them credit for. And I guarantee you they now that's not to say that Tomlin's going to kick a field goal down 10 late or down 3rd. Like if the Steelers are down 14 late, they're not going to kick a field goal to cover the spread. They're going to go for the touchdown.
I can't wait for that to happen. That will be such a great moment.
It should never happen.
That would be the greatest moment in sports history. It's got to happen eventually, right? Like that's got to happen. Just someone who's completely out of a game, just kick a meaningless field goal just to cover it.
I think that would open up a Pandora's box that I'm not ready to answer.
All right, let's move on to tomorrow's game. This is an interesting one. Cardinals at Rams. The Rams laying 3.5 points to their division rival, who they have split with this season. Very interesting game. Who wants to kick things off with our Cardinals Rams picks?
Go ahead, AL. Feel free.
I kind of lean towards the under here as well. Obviously, it's the third meeting between these teams. Each side knows what the other wants to do. That obviously didn't work out for the Patriots stopping the Bills, but the Bills stopped the Patriots. They knew how to stop their offense. And basically, I just think both of these offenses kind of enter the postseason spiraling, if you will. Let's start with the Cardinals. I mean, Kyler Murray finished the season, averaged less than 7 yards per attempt in each of his last 4 games. That's the first time in Kyler Murray's whole career he's had a 4-game stretch of averaging less than 7 yards per attempt, and it happened in these final 4 games, and that's how he enters the season on a, I guess, career worst stretch, you could say. And I mean, even in the Cardinals have lost 4 or 5, even in their one recent win against the Cowboys, I don't think they played that well. The offense just hasn't looked the same since DeAndre Hopkins left and they lost to the Rams last time these teams played on Monday Night Football. Hasn't looked the same really since Kyler hurt his ankle and came back. And they haven't even played that hard of a schedule. The Rams, Matt Stafford also kind of fell apart down the stretch. He threw 7 interceptions in his last 3 games, took 5 sacks in their most recent game. Their offensive line kind of fell apart. And in the Cardinals, last time these teams played, Aaron Donald absolutely wrecked the game, dominated. I don't see if they couldn't contain him then. I don't see, and that was game was in Arizona. I don't see how they're going to do it here. Jalen Ramsey last time these teams played, the Cardinals still had Hopkins. Obviously, that was where Jalen Ramsey's most of his attention went. Now without Hopkins, Jalen Ramsey's kind of freed up, can help guard Christian Kirk, whoever. So I don't see the Cardinals doing a ton on offense. Their offense, even when they were doing really well in the beginning of the season, it didn't seem like, wow, this is a team that's playing really great offense like with a team like the Bills last night. It was kind of Kyler playing backyard football, doing stuff off script. Designs were breaking down and it was working. Playing within the structure, it hasn't looked very good. And Stafford just hasn't looked very good either recently. And this Rams offensive line is really weird because sometimes they play like one of the best units in the league, and then sometimes they just kind of absolutely collapse. And Stafford, it seems like in their biggest games, they often kind of, in their primetime games, they often kind of
please don't blame Matt Stafford.
Crap the bed and start.
Line. Please don't do that.
Hey, I mean, he was under duress last week. I mean, the terrible game they had against the Titans in primetime, the O-line also collapsed, and Stafford was playing terrible as well. So yeah, I don't have a confidence in either offense right now. And I think that the Rams defense is playing really, really well for the most outside of the second half of last week. They've been playing really well recently. A couple injuries, the fact that they signed Eric Weddle off the street, sure, that's concerning. But I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference against this struggling Cardinals offense.
Yeah, I like the Cardinals more so just because of the spot that they're in. The Cardinals have been great on the road this year, and they've been great as road dogs. 6-0 this season, I believe, as road underdogs. So I'm not sure if I'm ready to say I trust Cliff Kingsbury, but I think there's something about Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray in this spot that they get up for. Not to say that anyone's going to need any extra motivation to get up for a playoff game, but I just think this is a good spot for them because they're on the road. And, you know, you're saying this offense hasn't looked the same without DeAndre Hopkins. I think a neutralizer for that, or something that could help that offense, is putting out a 37-year-old Eric Weddle, who is going to be playing for the Rams. When's the last time he played? It's been 2 years.
2019, yeah.
He played for the Rams 2 years ago.
I mean, you just can't hop in just think you're going to play in the NFL just off a couple of days of practice. So I just think this is a bad spot for the Rams. So I'm siding with the Cardinals in this one. Jared, what do you got?
Yeah, I think LA at 3 is intriguing. So to at least piggyback AO's offensive line stuff with the Rams, the numbers actually say they're the best pass pro team in the league this year, the offensive line. So running may be a little bit different, but pass protection wise, their offensive line's actually held up pretty well.
He was just trying to help out his.
No, but they often play the best unit in the league. But I mean, a couple of their biggest games, they have cratered for sure.
They certainly have. I think the Cardinals getting back J.J. Watt will be fascinating here. How much of an impact does he have in the game? I think the Rodney Hudson situation up front for the Cardinals offensive line is huge. When he plays, they are immensely better. He's an all-pro. He's one of the best centers in the league. We talk about offensive line play a lot, and it doesn't have a huge impact on the spread. A center does. And we saw it front and center in that game against the Colts. One snap went underneath Kyler Murray's legs. It was a safety. Another one, they were having a lot of issues with the snaps and shotgun. Rodney Hudson being happy and healthy in the middle of that offensive line makes Arizona at least somewhat formidable up front. And I think the James Conner injury situation is also noteworthy. It looks like questionable, trending towards playing. He was practicing a little bit this week. That's huge because I think that takes the pressure off Kyler Murray. When Conner's in the lineup, this Arizona offense is better. Obviously, when DeAndre Hopkins in the lineup, they're immensely better. It does scare me that Hopkins still is obviously not going to play this week, probably not next week. I'm hearing the championship game is probably best case for him. Good luck, Arizona, getting there. And I think this is a Stafford-McVay scenario. I think if they play their best game and McVay calls a good game and Stafford doesn't throw a pick six in the first half like he's done like every half they've lost the game this year, I think the Rams win this game. I think the recipe for the Cardinals staying in it is getting some pressure on Stafford, disrupting things up front, J.J. Watt having an impact, and the secondary for the Rams breaking down in some key moments and Cliff Kingsbury being able to draw something up to be dynamic on the backside for this Arizona offense, which has looked a little bit kind of mundane since Hopkins went out of the lineup. There's definitely a path for this Arizona team to win. I just don't know if execution is going to be there. I trust McVay more than Kingsbury. He's been to a Super Bowl. I trust Stafford more than I trust Kyler Murray. And I think this game is there for the Rams if Stafford doesn't throw a pick six, and he leads the league in them, which is scary. It's a crazy.
I was gonna say,
it's a fluky statistic, but he leads the league in it, and it is not a statistic that a quarterback wants to lead the league in. So I think that's where I am on this game. I'm going to wait till tomorrow. I'm expecting more market movement tomorrow. We might get 3 with the Rams. It might happen. And if we do, I think that's probably where I'll go here.
Got you. All right, well, let's wrap things up. Let's give out our plays of the day. Jared, is there something on the site? Oh, wait. Before we do that.
Let's give a little love here. Let's have some victory laps for some SGPs.
Yeah, let's give some love to some people who deserve it. And AO, you are certainly one of the people that deserves it here for all of your hard work on the website. You have a mega parlay out today. We had one that hit yesterday. We'll get to that in a second. But AO, you have a mega parlay today, right? What you got?
I do, yeah. Again, if you had been betting each of these 1 week of the season, we're up over 13 units. Last year, actually, what's funny is we didn't have nearly the audience. Last year, we were up like 70 units in these NFL Mega Parlays. This week, we got the Eagles money line, under in the Niners-Cowboys game, and under in the Cardinals-Rams game. At the time that I published this a couple of days ago, that would have paid plus 13.56. It'll pay less now because the Eagles money line has come down. It was over plus 300. I think now it's like plus 265. So it'd probably be like 11 something to 1, whatever, if you bet it now. I mean, we already talked about all of these games, so I guess we don't have to rehash it too much. I talked about why I think that the Eagles could potentially be right for a money line upset, and I talked about those 2 unders, the Cowboys and 49ers. So there it is. We hit it in week 11, week 13. Came close a few other times recently, so let's do it again.
There we go.
The Eagles are going to win today. Can I just say that right now?
Here we go.
Please do.
That's going to be because that's the biggest leg of the parlay right there.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That's it. X the Dank Bagel said he tailed our Bengals SGP yesterday. Can we give Andrew Wilshire, who is basically the editor of the entire Pickswise site, who doesn't get nearly enough credit, not only for all the work that he does for the Pickswise website, but also for that Bengals SGP yesterday? Holy moly.
I mean,
unbelievable
it's
stuff.
Kind of like you're saying the Eagles for that first. Like as soon as CJ caught that touchdown yesterday, you're like, okay, this parlay has a chance.
Wilsh is a great. I mean, I've been working with him and AO all year on, and Ricky Diamond, all the editors on the back end of the Pickswise site that you don't really hear from a ton on these shows. But I'm glad AO can hop on, at least represent the editor vibes of the Pickswise gang there. Wilsh does an awesome job, and he crushed that parlay yesterday. Victory lap for Andrew Wilshire this morning. Everyone in so our company's based in London, at least the some of the back end of it is, and it's lunchtime over there, I guess afternoon time. So maybe some tea and crumpets for Mr. Wilshire today for that SGP on the Bengals. Good stuff, man.
There we go. So that being said, got anything on the site that you want to give out to the people? Yeah,
Pickswise website cranking today. We got some picks not only for the NFL games, which we all talked about. Martin Pennington's got a race forward Aqueduct on there. You might want to take a look at, but I'll give you Robin Hung's college basketball best bet of the day, the over in Butler and Villanova. I believe it's an afternoon game. Yep, noon Eastern. So you got about an hour plus to lock that puppy in. Tough game. Nova plays a lot of D, but Robin likes the over 123 and a hook. Go read about it on pickswise.com.
And I will say, everyone's talking NFL. Obviously, yesterday took most of the attention. Yesterday, we had a pretty good non-NFL day. We went 1-0 in NHL best bets, 1-0 in NBA best bets, and 3-2 in college basketball best bets. So
yeah, good day for the Canes yesterday. That was my only NHL winner yesterday. I gave out 2 picks in NHL. We hit that Canes bet, the regulation, and I think it was Chadwick had the money line too. He likes to play those juicy money lines. As long as he wins more than 60-70%, I guess it's okay. and he has been, which is good.
Yeah.
Jared, what you got? What's your play?
Yeah, I mean, I've been taking a lot of shots here in terms of plus money. I got to do my best to try to keep up with LJ, who just it's unbelievable. Lauren Jabbar, by the way, she started 2-0 with her picks yesterday too. People give her a lot of crap, just because, she's a female in the business, but she knows what she's talking about too. She's been doing pretty well with her picks this year. So make sure to give her a follow as well. And I've been playing a lot of plus money with the PODs trying to catch her because she's kicking our ass in the standings. So I'll go with the Niners money line. I got plus 150. And we'll see if we can't, crank out a unit and a half and make up a little ground. That she's idle. She's hanging out with her buddies in Denver. That she's on the bye weekend for the show. She hasn't done any shows this weekend. She's hanging out in Denver, but we'll give her a shout too. She had a good, she had the first round bye. She was the number 1 seed, and she's been doing so well though with the play of the day. So I got to figure out a way to catch her. So Niners plus 150 on the money line for me today.
Hey yo, what you got?
Nothing new. I was debating between the Gronk thing but I'll say the under in this Cowboys Niners game. Not my favorite under of the year, but I think of the 3 games today, I'd say it's probably that.
Okay. And mine, I'm going with that first half in the Chiefs game here. I'm just going to lay that 7 with the Chiefs in the first half and just hope Mike Tomlin gets right in the second half. He's got to get right in the second half, right? I want a good primetime game. I don't want to watch Succession again. I want to watch a full game. So
wait, you didn't watch the back half of that game last night?
No. Oh well, no. After Josh Allen was his 3rd touchdown pass.
I wanted them to go for 50, but the Pats had that late drive that kind of took too much time off the clock. I'll be honest. They were running up the score last night.
Once they went up 30, I cut on Succession.
They were running up the score purposely last night. They really were. They went play action up 30 late in the game, and deep play action.
Threw it to the big boy.
Yeah, and Knox almost got in on that. They just went for the throat on Belichick and the Pats last night. That was fun to watch.
I mean, set the tone. Let Belichick know what's going to be happening for the next couple of years. Say, hey, we're here.
Oh, yeah, the AFC East runs through Buffalo now. No doubt about that.
The AFC East runs through
100%.
Runs through Buffalo.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Well, let's have a Sunday. We had a good day yesterday. Let's keep it going. Have a good day today. For Jared and Andrew, I'm Alex. Good luck with your picks today. And always, gamble responsibly.